The one thing these teams do that's stupid, Looney can shoot it anytime he gets it. Bell can shoot it anytime he gets it. Even Draymond. You never see help on any of those plays. I'm not going to let Clay, Steph, or Kevin beat me going one-on-one, doing their thing. I'm going to cheat off Looney. I'm going to cheat off David West. If Draymond beat me, I'm just going to shake his hand. Or Bell. But on those plays, you're like, where's my help at? Those are all wide-open shots. And nobody, Jeff Van Gundy, who does a fantastic job, always talks, these guys, you got to cheat off those non-shooters. Bell don't want to shoot the ball. Looney don't want to shoot the ball. Why are they crowding those guys, sticking to them?
You know, Chuck, you make a great point. You know, what was happening, one, they were switching. And now a big is matched up with him, and they're not used to guarding him.
Yes.
And he's moving without the basketball. Yeah. Great awareness from the rest of the guys. But, you know, a couple years ago, I thought in 2015 when Golden State won, Cleveland had a different strategy. They doubled him, screen and roll, they trapped.
Physical.
And they're making somebody else beat them, to your point.
Yes.
And so I agree. Yeah. Look, now you switch, now you got a mismatch, and he's so good with the ball, and he's great at relocating after the pass. Most big guys are used to relaxing in that situation, and they exposed him last game.
There's no big guy can guard a guard.
Right.
You know, Kenny always talks about it. First of all, I hate giving him a credit and getting a compliment, but he always talks about it. If you're a guard and you see a big guy, you're like, there's no way he can cover me. And for some reason, all these NBA teams now, they switch everything, and nobody ever takes the ball into the post. And when you got a big guy against a little guy, they just gonna leave a big guy on an island with a great guard like Steph.
If we see so many uses of the slip screen, for example, right? Why aren't we seeing adjustments to that? I know it's more of an in general question, but in this series, from the Cavaliers or from the Warriors, to force that you don't get a switch, because we're seeing those matchups constantly.
Well, I think Chuck said it. If you look at these teams, Golden State is the biggest culprit. Nobody makes them pay for it. They switch everything. You'll see Steph Curry on Towns. You'll see him on Clint Capella. But it all goes to, what are you going to make them do? I let Steph switch all the time onto Charles Barkley. If Chuck isn't going to rebound, if he isn't going to post up, it's just a waste. But you have to go at him when they do this, and I think that's what these guys are saying. You have to make them pay for that play. If not, they're smart to keep on doing it until you do something.
The two teams, Chris got a great point. The two teams who switch everything are the Warriors and the Rockets. So, yeah, instead of throwing the ball down to Towns against a little guy or somebody else, the Rockets let Chris Paul do his thing and James Harden do their thing. When you play against the Warriors, they're the exact same thing. They're trying to switch, and they got a big guy out there, but you can still pound them. But a guard, especially as great as Steph is, Capella, who's arguably the most athletic big in the league, cannot keep Steph Curry in front of him. Because he passed the ball and just runs around. Before you know it, he's like, oh, he's over there in that corner wide open.
Well, Chuck, you know, to your point, first of all, Cleveland, they've been bad defensively all seasons. It's not a big surprise. But I think to what you're saying, because the Rockets had such success against the Warriors in switching, they tried to do that.
Yes.
I don't think that's really Cleveland's defense.
No.
Not that they're known for the defense. Because now you got guys who are guarding guards like Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, and they don't have the mobility on the perimeter like a Capella.
And I'll give Daryl Morey credit in Houston, because he went out and got Ariza, Tucker, Capella. Those are three of the best defenders in the league. They can actually switch, and they can't stop guards. Well, they can't stop Clay or Steph or somebody like that. But I'd probably say they can guard probably 60% of the mediocre guards in the league.
We saw Kevin Durant, who's always trying to improve, look at himself after, guys, game number one and say, I want to be more efficient. 10 out of 14 in game two. What'd you see in the difference, G, of KD's game in game two?
Well, he has been inconsistent. He was inconsistent in that Rockets series. Really good, and at times would disappear. I thought he was better. He still wasn't the Kevin Durant we saw last year in the finals, but he played better than he did in game one, and he was more aggressive. He had a great game, don't get me wrong, but he was so good last year as a finals MVP. He was more efficient. He looked assertive. He looked a little unsure of himself at times in game one, but he got back to being the Kevin Durant. And when Durant and Curry and Clay are all playing well, then you have a performance like you had there in Game 2.
How do you guys explain the erratic play? We know he's one of the best players in the world, an all-timer. But the fourth quarters in the last series against Houston, not very good. First couple of games, one good, one not so good for KD.
I think last year he tried to fit in and play the system of Golden State. I think this year, when things got tough, he went back to playing the type of ball he knows. He's a DH. He's not the outfielder that's going to hit. He's the guy that comes in.
I love that you brought baseball references to me.
He's the guy, he just wants to shoot the ball and get it going. And that's the type of player you need to close it. What I was impressed with, he had 7 assists. When Kevin Durant's on the floor and he's scoring a lot, but he doesn't make anyone better with just the one pass out and then maybe a wasted play. When he's got other guys involved in back screens or just gets another shot for other guys, he can make it so much easier for a guy like Klay Thompson just setting the back screen. So I love the Kevin Durant that's a killer, goes out and score, but I want to see him also get people involved when he's not being aggressive.
Well, Chris said he had 7 assists. Remember those games against the Rockets? He had 0 assists, 1 assist. Because I think personally he fell in love going one-on-one because he had such a physical advantage every time the Rockets switched. It was so easy to get him the ball and him to get a shot. I think he just became lackadaisical and not playing the way the Warriors, all their movement. I just thought it was because the Rockets do their thing. And he just got lackadaisical. And you see now he played better. I think he's going to keep playing better because the Rockets, they play that unique defense. But I don't think the Cavs can play that defense because they don't have the personnel.
One more quickly on the Warriors. As players who were tough, how much would you have loved to play with Klay Thompson? Here's a guy who's supposedly supposed to have a bad ankle. Steph and Draymond saying they don't know how he played. He goes 8 out of 13 and is shooting the lights out.
He's shooting the lights out. What I love about Klay Thompson, here's a guy who's an all-star. He's been in the Olympics. He's a third option. He doesn't complain. The ball will come to him. He can get plenty of shots. Sometimes he doesn't get shots, but he goes about his business. He competes on the defensive end. He never complains about anything. He's always ready, always brings the performance. And so he's you got to love him. And they're lucky that you got a guy. I mean, they got great talent, but your third option is capable of carrying you. And he plays when they need. In those big moments, he steps up and makes plays. So Klay Thompson and his toughness, I thought he was done. I thought he was done for the series. Yeah. But he came back in that game and played well and hasn't missed a beat.
I think it's amazing how to me, he's probably the most underrated player in the league. Because if you go back, Game 6 against Oklahoma City, he won that game. You go back to Game 6 against the Rockets, he won that game. And he's playing with those other 2 guys. If he was on another team, he'd be like, he's already the best 2 guard in the league. But we be talking about him like we talk about some of the other great players who are single, like a Giannis, guys like that who are great players. But he's kind of in a laying low because, like Grant said, he's the third option. Let me tell you something. He's the best damn third option in the NBA.
It's time now to ask the analysts. We were worried about what you might ask. In partnership with 47.
What is 47 anyway?
It's hats, Chuck.
It's what now?
It's hats, something you need.
Clothing and hats. Do we get hats and clothing?
No, they didn't send us.
How is it possible for Korver to get more involved in the series? Huge asset against the Raps' invisible bench thus far. How much of that do you see the Warriors doing a good job against him, or what does he need to do differently?
Well, Kyle Korver isn't a one-on-one scorer, so you're never going to see Kyle Korver get his own shot. He's a little bit like Klay Thompson in that way. If you see Klay dribbling too much, you're like, hold on, let us set you up. So he needs players. He needs coaches making calls for him, also guys screening for him. And also, if they speed up the pace, you heard Chalk talk about that earlier and Grant talk about it. They speed up the pace. Klay and Steph never finish the break. They never start the break. They always run right to those corners and those wings. And if you get Draymond with the rebound, if you get some other guys pushing it out, you're gonna find Kyrie. And also, he has to keep moving just like how we saw Curry moving. And you'll see that with Kyle constantly moving like a Reggie Miller. But constant movement, play calling, guys getting him some screens and then looking for him.
Yeah, the biggest problem he got though is just a bad matchup. He can't guard any of those guys. It's just a bad matchup. He's going to pick and choose when he put him in the game because he can't guard Klay, he can't guard Steph, he can't guard Kevin. So there's just nowhere to hide him. I mean, if you put him on Draymond probably going to kill him on the offensive board. I mean, it's just a really bad matchup. It's just a unique situation. Like, we all been in games where, like, we can't match. It's just a bad matchup, and that's unfortunate for Kyle.
And they both said it best. Look, they switch Golden State.
Yeah.
Boston and Toronto didn't switch. He was great at moving without the ball, got open looks. He's not getting any open looks because of the defense in the matchup.
Yeah.
We're just getting started. Game Time Live down here on the floor. Going to be an amazing atmosphere in this building. The Warrior fans are in attendance, but they'll be overwhelmed by cheers, not jeers, for JR, trying to lift him to a big performance in game number 3.